Hey, welcome back to another episode of Addicted to Gear. Thank you for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. Today's video is a two-parter. So the first part is going to be a bunch of questions that you guys have asked regarding some of the previous videos that I posted on my channel. And you guys are totally active when it comes to leaving comments, and I really appreciate it. So I thought that I'd answer some of those questions because a lot of them are very interesting. Part two is going to be where I'm going to give the viewers, you guys, an opportunity to vote on what you want to see coming up next on my channel. I have a few things lined up for you, and there was a bunch of stuff that you guys said you wanted to see. So I thought I'd give you guys an opportunity to vote on maybe the top 5 videos that I'm planning on making, and you guys can tell me what you want to see on the channel coming up next. So let's get started. So first off, I want to say thank you for keeping this channel going. You guys are the reason I do this, and I do really appreciate your comments. You always have really great questions, and I really do try to get to all of them. Unfortunately, there's a lot of questions, there's a lot of videos, so I don't always have the time to answer every single one of them. And if I skipped you, I'm sorry, but I do make videos like this on occasion where I can take some extra time to answer some of those questions. So for part 1 of this video, I'm just going to go through a bunch of questions that you guys left on my videos, and I'll go through them one by one so we can try and clarify a few things for you guys, and then we'll move on to part 2. Well, I'll give you guys an opportunity to vote on some of the upcoming videos I plan on making. This way, I feel that, you know, we can keep the channel as interesting as possible. I do want to spend my time making the videos that you guys want to see. I'm a one-man show here, and I don't always have time to produce videos. So I do want to make sure I'm producing the content you guys are interested in seeing. So the stuff that I review on my channel, I either buy myself or go out and get because I am authentically interested in them. I'm not just reviewing stuff because people are sending them to me. I try to review the stuff that I believe is a good quality product and something that I do want to share with my viewers. So a lot of the other YouTuber channels out there, you know, they're reviewing a lot of stuff that they get for free, and I feel that it's just you know, not always an honest review, and I try to be as honest as I can on my channel for you guys, because I don't feel that you guys are looking for, you know, marketing blah blah. You want to actually be able to get an honest review and you know, realistic consumer feedback on products that you're considering buying or eventually buying in the future. So, you know, you work hard for your money, I work hard for my money, and the last thing that either one of us want to do is spend money on stuff that's no good just because somebody's bullshitting you and giving you the runaround because they've been endorsed. So everything that you see on this channel, I use myself. I have in my guitars, or I purchased myself, and I try and keep it that way as much as possible. If there's something that I really think is cool and comes my way, you know, I'll consider reviewing something if it's sent to me. If it's something I would not use, I don't put it up on my channel. I can't do it. So everything that I review here, I love. So that's you know, something that you want to keep in mind. So let's get moving on the questions. There's a lot of them. One of the questions that I get often asked is, do I still have the Brunetti Plexi-man? And the answer to that is yes. I use that on a lot of my videos. The amps that I currently have in my studio, I've dwindled it down to 4 amps right now. So I have the Brunetti Plexi-man, which is a super amplifier that I love. I also have the Friedman Dirty Shirley, also an excellent amplifier. I have a Fender Supersonic 22, and the one that you see on this side is a modified Blues Junior, and that's it. So a lot of the other amplifiers that you've seen in my past videos, such as the Supro, that one's gone. The Marshall Jubilee is gone. Triple Crown is gone, and the Supro is also gone. So guys, I keep what I like. Obviously, I can't afford to keep everything, and sometimes, although I want to do a review for you guys, if I don't keep the amplifier long enough, sometimes I just don't get around to making a video review of it. Things come and go all the time. So I don't always have the luxury of making reviews of every single thing that comes my way. But the Brunetti is still here. An excellent Italian amplifier that I highly recommend you guys check out. So you've heard the amplifier indirectly, but not directly. So if you guys want to hear that, let me know. One of the other questions that I get often is also about the Brunetti. It's how does the Brunetti stack up against the Friedman Dirty Shirley? Both of those amplifiers are fantastic. They're great amplifiers, and I've kept both of them because they do sound different. Although they're based on that Marshall type of tone and circuit, they do react differently. If I had to compare, I would say that the Brunetti Plexi-man is definitely more versatile. The Friedman has a lot of girth to it, and when you crank the Friedman up, it really does sound fantastic. The Brunetti sounds fantastic too. That's why I keep both of them. The Brunetti sort of sounds like the Marshall sound that you would get on a recording, and the Friedman is a little bit more beefy and like more of that Marshall modded tone, but they both sound great. So I can't decide on which one to actually keep and which one to let go, but for now they're both staying. I don't think I'm gonna get rid of either one of them till I need some funds to buy something else. The next question, Chinese versus American guitars. This question comes up over and over again, and you know, we've talked about this before. I'll talk about it again, but basically what I feel is that today the gap between American, Indonesian, Korean, and Chinese guitars is getting very, very narrow. So there's excellent guitars coming out of the US. There's excellent guitars being produced all over the world, as there is crappy guitars. So what I would say to you guys is don't be prejudiced against the location of manufacture. Listen to the guitars, play the guitars, make up your own mind, and don't be influenced by the country of origin. I mean, if you think about it, PRS guitars are fantastic. We know that they're very, very high quality guitars. And if you put it into perspective, although the guitars are really high quality, the bulk of what they're selling is the guitars that they're making overseas. They actually outsell the American guitars. So you have to put that into perspective, right? I have some very great guitars that are made overseas, just like I have some very good guitars, some of them I would say are great too, that are made in the USA. It's just a different price point, but in terms of features and playability, you have to really consider the fact that things are really getting close these days. So don't let that stop you from buying a great guitar. The other question I get all the time is Squire versus Fender. One of the most popular videos that I've produced was my shootout between my Fender Telecaster and my Squire Classic Vibe Telecaster, and that got a lot of views. Honestly, guys, I did an A/B comparison where I played both and I didn't reveal which one was which, and a lot of you actually preferred the Chinese version versus the American. So a lot of you chose the Squire, you know, and I have to say that yes, there is a difference when you're playing the guitar. So a lot of you guys are selecting the winner based on the sound, and obviously there's compression and it's not always easy to tell what's what over YouTube, especially the audio. So I try to do my best with that. But what you guys are not seeing in part of that picture is how they feel. So you have to consider price, sound, and feel of a guitar to actually make a proper buying decision. And what you guys are really focusing on is only the sound. So if you put those other factors in play when you're making a decision, that could ultimately lead you to choose maybe the more expensive guitar. But if you're comparing on sound alone, the difference is not as big as you might think. And even if there is a big difference, you can always swap the pickups out and put something better, like I often do, and still have an amazing guitar. So some of you have asked me, what is my next purchase? And that's a great question. I don't have a big itch at the moment. I would, however, like to try out the Marshall Studio series at some point that have just come out. So the kind of mini Plexis, the mini JCM 800s, they look really interesting, and I'd love to get my hands on one and try it out. That being said, the Brunetti Plexi-man and the Friedman Dirty Shirley do an excellent job playing in that Marshall playground. So I don't have a huge desire, because I know that these amplifiers are fantastic and they'll probably be quite similar, but I would like to review it for you guys. So in terms of amps, I think that would be something that I would like to keep my eyes open for, in terms of a deal that I can get in here and try it for you. The other thing that I'm kind of interested in is the Harley Benton Fusion 2 guitars that really caught my attention, because they seem to have some good quality components on those guitars. The price is pretty reasonable, and I like the look. I like the look of the ones that don't have a Floyd on them. I've kind of gotten rid of my guitars that had Floyds on them over time. You might notice, well, I don't have all my guitars here, but I reviewed a Charvel, which was a really great guitar, but I ended up selling that guitar because I ended up buying the Squire Contemporary series, because I had 2 pickups in the Charvel, and I had 2 pickups in the Contemporary series Squire. And to be honest with you, the Squire neck felt better to me. It just was less thin. And because it didn't have a Floyd, I actually like that better too. Because although Floyds are great, they're a real pain to get working properly sometimes. And I do a lot of alternate tunings when I play. So it's kind of a little bit of a hassle for me. So I preferred the Squire, and the Squire was way, way cheaper. And I figured I'd put the money from the Charvel into something else that I can review for you guys. So I think that's a win-win situation. All right, next question. Anything you regret selling? There's always regrets. No, but seriously, I don't always regret selling stuff. If I sell stuff, it's usually to get something better. So it's usually an upgrade. Rarely do I go backwards in terms of what I purchase. Sometimes it's, I might buy something on a whim and then regret it. But that product or guitar doesn't usually stick around too long. So what do I regret selling? I would say that the Rocket Retro Marshall clone that I had, I regret selling that amplifier because it really did sound great. The main reason I sold it is not because I didn't like it, because it's a super, super great sounding amp. It just was too loud. And I'm sort of scaling down, and I'm more interested these days into amplifiers that can scale down. Like my Brunetti can go all the way down from 50 watts to 5 watts, which is fantastic. Unfortunately, the Friedman doesn't do that. It doesn't go down to 5 watts, and sometimes I end up playing the Brunetti more often because of that. So that's the only reason I sold that amplifier, and I do regret it. But that's why the Marshall Studio Series amps are interesting, very interesting for me, because hopefully they can sound very close to what I had with that amplifier, and they go way down in terms of volume and wattage. So it could be the best of both worlds. By the way, I think Marshall made a perfect decision by releasing those amplifiers. I think they're going to be killer. Can't wait to get one used. My current projects. So I guess what you mean by if I have any current projects is what's coming up next or what I'm working on. In terms of guitars, I'm kind of working on the guitars I already have. What I am doing is I've decided to put different necks on some of my Telecaster. So I'm kind of switching necks from one guitar to other guitars just because I like them for various reasons on certain body combinations. I know it sounds silly, but trust me, it does make a difference. The neck is the main aspect of a guitar that makes you like it or not. And I love my Telecasters, and I know I can make them even better with a little tweaking. So I purchased another neck that I tinted and set up, leveled, made the frets perfect the way I like them. And I'm going to be putting that one on a guitar that I already have and swapping that neck onto another body. So it just keeps me busy. It keeps me from going crazy over the winter, and hopefully summer is going to be here soon, so I'll stop spending so much money. But it's just another project that I have going, and I guess I'll report back on that project eventually to you guys, and you might be interested in seeing the final results on that. So another question you guys asked was if I'm ever going to be making the Harley Benton playthrough. So I reviewed a Harley Benton guitar, and that guitar was not mine. It was loaned to me by a good friend of mine, and unfortunately when he bought the guitar there was issues with the pickups that I mentioned in that video that you can also check out. So he eventually changed the pickups on that guitar, but I never got it back to be to actually have the opportunity to make a video. I'm sure eventually I would probably do that for you guys. I know you guys were wanting to hear what it sounded like. So I will probably end up doing that at some point in time for you guys. Who sets up my guitars? Actually, I set up all my guitars myself. I've learned to do that over time, and I think I've gotten pretty good at it. I know what I like. I know how to set up and tweak the guitar just to the point where it plays perfect for what I like to do. And because I have so many guitars in my lineup, it wouldn't make sense for me to go to someone to actually set them up. It would cost me a fortune, because at the end of winter, they all need an adjustment. If I change the thickness of strings, they need to be readjusted. I often like to swap out my own pickups. So obviously, you know, there's things that need to be adjusted when you do that as well. And, you know, I'm always trying out new things, just like the obsidian wire harness that I put into my Gibson Les Paul in one of my videos that you might want to check out as well. I'm constantly tweaking things. Like I mentioned, I'm changing the necks. I always change pickups, strings, bridges, you know, locking tuners, different things. So it doesn't make sense for me to bring my guitar to someone else unless I can't fix it, and I think I can fix pretty much anything at this point, or if I don't have the time to do it, then I'll bring it to someone. But generally I like working on my own guitars. It's actually relaxing for me. I even work on guitars for some of my friends now because yeah, I like doing it. It's a lot of fun, and I learn stuff along the way as well, and if I can do that and help them out, why not? So I do it myself, and I think that's what you guys should do as well. If you take the opportunity to learn, it's really not that hard. There's a lot of good videos out there, including some of mine that I've made that you might want to check in my video roster, where I go through different procedures of setting up guitars, how to do the neck stuff, how to do intonation, you know, basic stuff that everyone should learn. It's all there. And some of you have also asked me many times where I got the artwork on my wall here. This artwork was just purchased online. I purchased it, I forget where. Something popped up in my feed somewhere, and I clicked the link and I liked it, so I bought it. I'm sure if you do a Google search, you'll be able to find something very similar. And another question is, where is the best place to get deals on gear these days? That is the million-dollar question, guys. If there was one place to get deals, everybody would be shopping there, and it wouldn't be the place anymore. I look around everywhere. I look around in my local Kijiji is very good for me. I got a lot of deals off Kijiji. Facebook Marketplace in your local area is very good as well. It used to be that I would buy a lot of things from eBay, but honestly, the prices these days with the exchange duties and whatnot, shipping costs, PayPal fees, it's become less and less interesting unless it's something that I can't find elsewhere, something very specific that I'm looking for. I usually don't buy stuff off eBay anymore because I don't find it's as much of a deal as it used to be. And obviously there's Reverb, but I haven't really used Reverb at all. I have never purchased anything off of Reverb. I always feel that the prices are pretty inflated, and I like to deal face to face. I can't really comment on how good Reverb is in terms of deals. I've heard that you can negotiate and you can give counter offers and whatnot. So for those of you who've tried it before and it's worked out for you, I guess you can continue doing that. But for me, I don't really feel that I get a lot of interesting things that pop up through those channels. So I kind of just like to deal local. I also like to deal local because I like to see what I'm buying. I don't really like to buy a guitar specifically unseen. A pedal's not so bad. If you know it's in good condition, you can take a chance because a pedal's a pedal. But a guitar, they're all different. You have to play them, you have to feel them, you have to make sure that they haven't been abused. So I prefer to deal face to face on that. So those are my main questions that have come up. If you have other questions and you want me to answer, just leave them in the comment section, and I'll definitely get around to it. Eventually I might make a video and include your question on that as well. So part 2 of the video, I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to actually vote on some of the stuff that's coming up next that I had in mind. But I want to give you guys an opportunity to vote. So I thought I'd go down the list of a few different topics that you guys seem to be interested in and I'd like to make videos of, and I'll number them and list them at the bottom of the video in the comments section or in the notes section, and you guys can actually vote just by saying, you know, I'd like to see number 1, 2, 3, 4 or whatever it is, and I'll tally that up, and whatever you guys think is the most interesting and you want to see the most, I'll make a video of. All right, so the Squire Contemporary Strat playthrough, that's number 1. So a lot of you guys have commented on my video where I talked about the Squire Contemporary series that I just got recently, and I love, by the way. It's an excellent guitar. Check out that video if you haven't already seen it. It's fantastic, great value for the money, and I bought it used, so I paid it next to nothing, guys. And with a little bit of TLC, it's a fantastic guitar. So I didn't play through that video for you guys because there's a lot of other videos online where there are people playing, but if you guys want to see a video where I'm only playing the guitar so you can hear the sound samples on that, leave that as your vote. That would be number 1. Okay, number 2 is the Fender Blues Junior mod. Okay, so a long time ago I had talked about this Blues Junior that I have right over here, and as you can see, it's not a typical layout for a Blues Junior. That's because I modded it. I did a lot of mods. I made a video on that way back when. The sound quality on that video was pretty shitty. I have to admit, I was having issues with the mic. You might have already seen it. I never actually finished part 2 because of the issue I was having with the mic, where I actually wanted to play through it for you guys. So I was considering going through that one more time, making the video where I'm talking about the mods that I made, and at the same time giving you the sound samples of how great the guitar amp sounds now compared to a stock Blues Junior. So that would be number 2. Number 3 would be the Friedman Dirty Shirley versus the Brunetti Plexi-man. So you guys often ask me, hey, which one is better? Which one do you like the most? I also think there's a lot of you guys considering picking up one or either one of these amplifiers. So I've never done a shootout between the two. So that's something that I'd like to do for you guys if you think that's interesting. I did review the features on the Brunetti. I actually never talked about my Friedman Dirty Shirley, so I do have to do a video on that as well. But maybe I'll turn it into a versus video where we're playing one amp and then the other amp, and we can see how similar or how different they are. So that would be Brunetti Plexi-man versus the Friedman Dirty Shirley. Next would be Bacchus versus Gibson versus Tokai. You guys know I like Gibson guitars. I think they're fantastic. They're really good. There's nothing wrong with a Gibson, except maybe the price. And that's something that a lot of people are miffed at. The prices keep going up. We know that with the new CEO, there's going to be changes and they're going back to their roots apparently, which I think is a great thing. New blood in the company right now, and that's a great thing. But it seems to me that the prices are still going up. And that's one of the sticky points. People love Gibson, but they can't all afford to drop $3,500, $4,000 on a Gibson. So there's alternatives to Gibson, right? And I did a video on my Gibson, I did a video on my Tokais, and I did a video on the Bacchus. All great guitars, all three of them. One's US, the other one is Japan, and the other one is China. So I wanted to do a video where I'm comparing for you guys all three side by side so that you can actually hear the difference and maybe decide which one you might spend your hard-earned money on. If you want to spend the money on the Gibson, there's nothing wrong with that, but you do have alternatives to, the most expensive one out there, and they all sound great and they play really good as well. So that would be another video that I wanted to make for you guys. Of course, there's always the cheap versus expensive guitar videos, and I've made those before and I'm going to continue making them. But what I haven't done is compared a cheap versus more expensive acoustic guitar. So that's one of the things I wanted you to maybe hear. In my opinion, there's more difference between a cheap and expensive acoustic guitar than there is a cheap and expensive electric guitar. And so that's something that might be an interesting versus video that you guys might be interested in seeing as well. Next would be something that's a little bit more of a sideline thing, but still could be interesting because I'm sure a lot of you guys use these products. And that would be which guitar polish is the best, you know, for the money. So maybe we can get a handful of guitar polishes, try them out and see which one does the best job. I think that would be interesting for a lot of you guys out there that work on your own guitars and want to keep them looking great. I haven't reviewed a wah pedal on my channel yet. And I know a lot of you guys like wah pedals. I don't use them exclusively or extensively. On occasion, I'll break it out, and there's, you know, a couple of different songs that use wah pedals. So I would like to do a wah pedal review for you guys coming up soon, and that is a McWah that I have here waiting, and I've been meaning to get around to doing that video for a long time. I just haven't had the opportunity or the time. So that's something that I think you guys might like. And of course, there's the white Telecaster, the Olympic white Telecaster that I put together, that to me is one of my favorite Telecasters that I have in my lineup. I never actually did a pure sound review for you guys. I've talked about it, I showed it. I actually showed you how I made the neck on that guitar and everything else, but I never actually played the finished product. Well, actually, I have played the finished product, but it was when I was reviewing a pedal. So you might not know that I actually was using that guitar, but I thought I'd play that guitar for you guys so that you can hear what it sounds like and go through that. So that wraps up today's video, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for leaving your comments, and thank you for being so loyal to this channel. I'm really happy to see that you guys do enjoy what I produce here. And if you haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing to the channel. You guys are why the channel is so great. If you have already subscribed and you want to be notified whenever I upload a new video, hit the little bell icon. In the meantime, guys, stay tuned and keep rocking, because there'll be more great videos coming your way right here on Addicted to Gear. See you soon.